All right, well, welcome everyone. Small dollars, big change, building people power with small dollar donors. And who am I? I want to introduce myself, or I get into it so you know who you're hanging out with for the next hour. So again, I'm the training director at ActBlue, and these pictures illustrate kind of my job trajectory. The reason why I do this work is because in 2015, I was sitting on the couch with my two moms watching as the Supreme Court decided whether or not gay marriage should be legal in the US. And I remember thinking, now how come no one on that screen looks like me? How come no one on that screen looks like my mom's? And how come these are the people making this humongous decision about my family? I was confused, upset, but it also helped me to make a decision. I was like, all right, I want whatever job you can have that changes the faces of those people on that screen. So what you have here in front of you is on the left is a 2016 election cycle. I was out in Ohio on the Clinton campaign looking very pleased with what was happening. And then on the right is when I was campaigning in New Mexico for Michelle Lujan Grisham and down the ballot in my Halloween costume, which was a cactus because it is spooky season. October is upon us. So that is me. That is why I do this work. I realized through these campaigns that the least accessible part of any running for office, of getting started running for office, of building a movement, of building an org is money. Money is the least accessible part of it, both giving to things you care about and also fundraising for the things that you care about. So that's why I'm here at ActBlue now after all these campaign cycles. And I'm excited to provide the resources, tips, tricks, and fun things to help you do the fundraising to raise the amount of money you need to run and win so that I can see different people on that screen making decisions for the community. So that is me. And thank you again to Netroots and all y'all for having me and joining me today. All right, so I'm in Massachusetts, specifically the traditional territory of the Wampanoag tribe. If you are interested in learning more about the space that you are on, please visit nativegov.org. So let's get into it. The agenda for today, we're going to allot into a short amount of time, but we're going to get it done. We'll talk about ActBlue, why small dollar donors matter, digital fundraising, a great way to reach those small dollar donors. We'll start to build a list. You might have already done this in different ways, but we'll see how we can do it online. We'll get into emails, specifically making the ask, ActBlue tools and services, and then we will leave with questions. So the big thing that I'm doing here is toggling between two tabs. So if you do have questions, save those till the end because I can't actually see them while I'm presenting and they might get lost in the kerfuffle because I have a couple of interactive things to do today. So save those questions to the end. We will have time to answer them. So goals, what I want you to leave this next 55 minutes with is a list of online organizing tools to get started. If this is your first time digitally fundraising or organizing, I want to give you the tools to get started, some tactical ways to build your list of small dollar donors, how to utilize some of those tools to build a fundraising list, an awesome fundraising ask. We're going to write one of those bad boys together. It's going to be very exciting. And then a way to collect that money, honey, because who writes an ask if you can't collect the money from it to do the things you got to do? All right, so what is ActBlue? First, in the chat, if you can put let's do a, I don't really know because you can't really do a thumbs up. If you've ever used ActBlue before to either fundraise or give through, can you write a little ActBlue? Just write a little ActBlue in the chat so we can see who's either used the platform to fundraise or to give on. So ActBlue, we are an online fundraising platform. We work with progressive nonprofits, organizations, and candidates in campaigns. And in the month of October, you can refer to us as ActBlue. And the reason we do that and the reason ActBlue exists in the first place is because we realized back in, I think it was 2004 when ActBlue was founded, that what I said before was true. The least accessible part of running a campaign, of running for office, of building a movement is the money. So we wanted to lower the barrier of entry for our small dollar donors and for folks that like really care about something, but just cannot figure out how to give to it. Like maybe I don't have a checkbook. Maybe I don't know how to write a check. Maybe I'm not getting invited to galas and all of the other things that are going on that I can give money to. We wanted to make it really simple for these folks to get involved and also meet them where they're at. Folks are on the interwebs, they're on their computers, they're checking email, they're checking social media. They want to be able to give where they're at, which is right now at home. But we want to make it as accessible as possible. So I want to ask you all a quick question, because not only are these small dollar donors good policy, and we want to make sure they have a way to get involved with what they care about, but they're also good strategy. And I want to show you a couple numbers to let you know why. So I'm going to ask a question. How much money do you think small dollar donors contributed in the 2020 election cycle through ActBlue? Feel free to put this in the chat. We have A, 75 million, B, 300 million, C, 1 billion, D, 5 billion. So I'm going to give you a second to think about it. Put it in the chat. How much money do you think small dollar donors contributed in the 2020 election cycle through ActBlue? All right, we got a 1 billion. We got a 1 billion. All right, what else? What are we thinking? What are we thinking? C, 1 billion. Okay, we got a lot of 1 billions. Let's get one more vote in here. D, 5 billion. 5 billion. David and Allie. David and Allie are correct. $5 billion through the ActBlue site to candidates, campaigns, orgs, and movements that folks cared about. Now, the real kicker is, so 5 billion is correct. The real kicker is, of that 5 billion, what was the average contribution size? What are we thinking? A, 30, B, 76, C, 90, or D, 105? Of that 5 billion, what was the average contribution size? All right, I'm seeing an A, 38, A, 38, A, 38. How do you all know this? The answer is A, 38. That is correct. Of the 5 billion, the average contribution size was $38. So not only are these small dollar donors good policy, they are also good strategy. They rake in the money, and not only do they give, they also get involved in other ways. These are the folks that volunteer. These are the folks that show up to your campaign office with a tray of macaroni and cheese in the middle of the night and say, hey, I know you're working hard, eat some of this. They're the people that invite their friends to the polls. They're the people that go out to the marches. These are folks that care. So not only good policy, also good strategy. Awesome, 38. All right, so now we get that small dollar donors are where it's at. Now let's talk about what's like a great way to get engaged with small dollar donors. What's a great way to engage with small dollar donors? So let's talk about digital fundraising. Now, what I want you to leave here with today is tools to get started with your digital organizing, fundraising, a list of folks to fundraise from, and then a kick-ass ask. So let's start with, what do you need to get started to engage these small dollar donors? So there's a couple of things. I'm going to give you 6 tools. One is a way to send emails. Now, this can be like a mass mailer, and it's anything from, let's see, MailChimp to Every Action, Action Network. It can be any of those, but you need a way to send a bunch of emails at once so you're not up at 2 a.m. writing a bunch of emails yourself, sending them out, being tired. We don't need that. Customer Relationship Manager. This is a CRM. This is a place to collect all of the information from your supporters. This can be an NGP. This can also, let me tell you, be a Google spreadsheet. You're a smaller campaign, you're a smaller org. A Google spreadsheet's an okay place to start, listen, and it's free. The great thing about a mass mailer and a CRM is they can integrate with each other, which is why the one and only Biden sends you emails saying, hey, Allie, it's really great that we talked yesterday. I'm like, oh, I did not know we were so close, but we are not so close. My name is just in the CRM. A fundraising platform, that is ActBlue. The reason why I get a lot of candidates, or some new candidates, thinking about PayPal or like a little Venmo action, use a fundraising platform that collects the information you need to file with the FEC during a deadline, and that is ActBlue. Campaign website. This is like your virtual campaign office. This is your virtual organization office where folks go to learn more about you, about your work, and can sign up or give. Email address, crucial. If you're using your personal one to do your kind of professional work, that's just your head will explode. So for both personal and professional reasons, get yourself a campaign email address. And lastly, social media platforms. Now we're seeing on social media, the trends look a little bit different here. We have younger folks maybe on TikTok, on Instagram, maybe older tends towards Twitter and Facebook. It really depends on what demographic you're trying to reach out to. Depends on what kind of social media you pick to really use throughout either your cycle or your org or whatever it might be. Think about your demographic, choose your social media based on that. The place where most people are at right now is Twitter and Facebook. All right. So those are the tools. So we got the tools down. The tools are in our tool belt. We can begin doing our program with all of our things. So now that we have the tools, let's start to build our list. So as like a candidate or an org, but mostly a candidate, you'll see folks doing Rolodexing. So they'll think about every single person they've ever known, loved, or even people that haven't liked them in their family, friends, in their life. You write all those people down, and that's the beginning of your fundraising list, is everyone you've ever known. So I want to talk about a way to build upon that list. So that's a great place to start, everyone you've ever known. And a great way to build on that list is through online tools. So let's talk about some of those online tools and how they'll help you build your list. All right, we got websites, social media, and paid ads. Talk about a couple of best practices here. So when you have your website, there's a couple of things on your website that's crucial to have. Don't make people scroll to find a sign up button. Don't make people scroll to find a donate button. So if you go look at your website right now, or your candidate's website or your org's website, and you have to like look around to find these buttons, talk to someone about it, because you want to make it as simple as possible for folks to get involved. They're usually going to your website either to learn more about you or get involved in some way. So make it really easy to do that. Accessible. What I mean by that is like some folks are colorblind, so maybe don't put a green on a red. Some folks need bigger letters to see what's going on the screen. Think about that. Make it as simple as possible for folks to get involved, and you'll be able to build your list through your website. Through social media, now there's a couple of things here. Social media is a great place to build your brand. It's a great place to connect with community leaders. You want to personalize this. Is a great place to tell your story as an org, or tell your volunteer story, tell your candidate story. It's a great place to do that. It's a great place to calendar it out, so you have kind of an idea of where you're going from here till the end of the year, here till election day. You know what big moments might pop up. And then there are also big moments you don't know when they're going to pop up. But social media is a great way to build your list, because you're connecting with your community, you're building your brand, and you're interacting with folks. So ask them to sign up for your email list. Ask them to join, your newsletter. Ask them to do that here on your social media, because you're building your brand here and you're building your list of folks. And then lastly, paid ads. So this is a great space. If you have folks that already know who you are and are going to your website, or maybe they heard about you from a friend and they're going to your social media, paid ads are a great place to target specific groups of people. So you have your Rolodex list of family and friends. You have your social media following group. You have your folks on your website. Paid ads are going to reach targeted groups of people that are outside of that group. So this is a great way to bring those folks in and build your list out even bigger. And there's like a couple different platforms for this. I know Facebook might be a little funky right now, but there are Google ads. There are really simple ways to do that. Smaller campaigns, candidates, and orgs have been utilizing this more. So they make it really user friendly to use these different platforms. So I would definitely recommend just tootling around the ads.google.com. That's a great place to just get started and look. That's where I found this graphic. So it's got a lot of cool stuff on there. Feel free to tootle around, but this is a great place to ask folks to sign up to be on your list for information, for fundraising, for whatever it is, because these are folks that have probably never heard about you before, but you're targeting them because you know they care about a specific thing that you care about. Cool. All right, so that's a great way to build your list. So now you have your tools to get started. You have how to utilize those tools to build your fundraising list or build on your already amazing fundraising list. Now I want to ask you a question. Of the tools that we talked about, What do you think is the most sustainable and reliable way to fundraise online? A, paid ads. B, social media. C, email. D, cat memes with an ask. A, paid ads. B, social media. B, social media. C, email. D, cat memes with an ask. What are we thinking? C, C, C. All right, we got the peeps. We got the peeps. Everybody's got it. It's C. It's C. Email is the best way to do it. And sometimes when I talk to newer candidates, because there's so much happening on social media, folks will think it's social media a lot of the time. D also does work most of the time, I will say. But a lot of folks think it's social media. I've talked to some folks that have never done digital before, and they're like, duh, it's Facebook, or like, duh, it's Twitter. That's where everyone's at. Duh, it's TikTok. That's where we're all at. But no, it is email. And I wanted to show you something that I thought was really cool. I took this from a friend that worked on a campaign recently, a kind of national campaign. And this was the breakdown of where the money came from, or where their online funds came in from. You can see the biggest here, 35% of all their online donations came through emails, and 1% through social. And website was the next biggest. So I think this is interesting. It's a good myth busting thing. If you're on a team where folks think that, social media is the way to go, like, definitely take this pyramid with you and take these fun facts with you. It's the best way to reach your small dollar donors online is through email. All right. So you have the tools to get started, the list of supporters, the best tool to ask folks for money, which is your email program. Now let's get to asking for it. Let's get into email. And we're only going to lightly touch on a full email. What we're really going to do is write an ask together. So you leave this training with a full kick-ass ask that you can use. All right. So here's a sample email. I'm going to read it out loud, but I'm also going to give a little space for folks to read it themselves. But I'll read it out loud now. It's a sample email. If you are a fan of Hamilton, we had a training person who is obsessed. So that's why we have all our Hamilton things here. Dear Alexander, since the beginning of this pandemic, we've experienced firsthand the way the COVID pandemic has impacted our community. Like you, I'm looking forward to a brighter future, one where we can begin to rebuild and recover from the pandemic. In 2020, we banded together and distributed masks to high-risk people in our district and created an emergency fund for essential workers. Together, we showed what a strong and empowered community can do. Now we need your help again in 2021. I am running to bring in broadband access so we can stay connected and continue to build a stronger, more resilient community. Today, I'm asking you to make a $5 monthly contribution towards my reelection campaign so we can bring in fixed wireless internet to have affordable internet access in our community. But I cannot do this without you. What do you say? Are you in? Thank you for supporting your community. And our subject line here is $3 is all it takes. And while we go into our next sections here, what I love to see always is folks write their favorite subject line that has ever entered their inbox in the chat. It is always fascinating to see what ends up in folks' inboxes. So feel free to throw your favorite subject line in the chat. All right. So we looked at a fundraising email. What I really want to hone in here is the ask. So we're going to break it apart and then we're going to put it back together, and you all are going to write and craft your own fundraising ask. So making the ask. So there's three things. We have one-time versus recurring, a theory of change, and a horizontal relationship. Let's dive into these. And I see someone here for the subject line. I got a no subject email today. Well, it'd be like that sometimes. And you might have opened it because we're like, what was going on here? Maybe it was a tactic. I don't know. All right. So the one-time versus recurring ask. I work with a lot of folks who will often only utilize one type of ask. They'll use the one-time ask for big moments, for little moments, for ongoing projects, for announcements. They'll often only use the one-time ask. And I'm here to say that using both of these is awesome. Your recurring ask is going to be so crucial for building out your budget and building out long-term success for your candidate campaign or organization. So utilize both of these asks. Big moments are great for that one-time ask, but if you're looking to build staff, you're looking to you've launched your candidacy, you've launched your org, and you have some long-term projects to accomplish. A monthly ask is great. It's sustainable and really successful. So make sure that is part of whenever you're crafting asks, you think about both types of asks. So the theory of change. So now we have one tool in our tool belt. We got our one-time or a recurring ask. So the theory of change is the why. Some people have some different definitions for it. It looks a little bit different in the nonprofit space, the political space. But the basic baseline of a theory of change is this is like the why. Like, why should I give? What does it go to? It just answers the donor's question of why. And the cool thing about the theory of change is for some reason I had such a hard time understanding what it meant when someone was explaining it to me. So there is a formula, which is very exciting because it can be just a plug and play situation. You can do X so that Y to achieve Z. And that will basically fulfill your theory of change in your ask. So let's take a look at this. Can you make a $20 donation today so we can buy food supplies to provide free lunches in after-school programs for low-income families? So we have our sample ask. Do X, make a $20 donation today so that Y, so we can buy food supplies to achieve Z, to provide free lunches in after-school programs for low-income families. Awesome. So that is a sample ask right there, using the theory of change, and it's an excellent ask, and you can just plug and play with that formula. So let's take a look back at the email that we looked at before so we can identify where the theory of change is here. Today, I am asking you to make a $5 monthly contribution towards my reelection campaign so we can bring in fixed wireless internet to have affordable internet access in our community. So you can see the life cycle of the theory of change there. Do X so that Y to achieve Z, all in that one ask. And the last thing I want to go over for the tools in our tool belt before we write our own ask is a horizontal versus vertical relationship. And I like to think of these as what would you rather do? So your boss says, hey, let's see, Tim. Hey, Tim, get this document on my desk by the end of the day, or else. Or your colleague says, hey, Tim, can you help me finish this project by the end of the day so we can go get drinks after? I don't know. Tim, what would you rather do? Would you rather go get drinks with a colleague or you might do what the boss says because that's the boss, but I would rather go get drinks with a colleague. And so that is kind of the culmination of a horizontal versus vertical relationship. You as the candidate campaign, as the finance director, as the whatever you might be, are not the boss of your of your donors. You are like the colleague with your donors, asking them to do something with you so you can all get something done together. So that's how I think of horizontal versus vertical relationship. It's really just we're all in this together. I thought I'd add a little High School Musical meme for those who like the film franchise. All right, so back to the email. You can see the horizontal relationship being built all throughout this email, but I especially want the ask. You see here it says, okay, $5 monthly contributions, internet to have affordable internet access in our community, but I cannot do this without you. I say, oh, great. Okay, I am part of this. I need to get involved. I am feeling the horizontal relationship, and I am ready to do this. Okay, so I know we can't break out into groups, which is what I usually like to do here. So instead, we will all quietly write an ask together in our own rooms. If you have a cat with you, if you have a partner with you, if you have an animal with you, use their help. But I'd love for us to make an ask together. Kick-ass ask after we have all the tools in our tool belt. Let's fundraise from this list of folks. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to craft this ask, and just be sure to pick, what is it, one-time ask, recurring? What's your specific amount? Are you getting ready for maybe a big event for your candidate or org? Maybe it's a long-term project or sustainability. Maybe that's a recurring, a specific dollar amount. Utilize the theory of change, do X so that Y to achieve Z. And then a horizontal relationship. And you'll never forget, now that you saw we're all in this together. I won't sing it, but I want to so bad. All right. I'm going to give you all 5 minutes to do your thing. And then after the 5 minutes, I will ask that folks share in the chat their awesome asks. So let's get to it. I will be back in 5 minutes. Hey, y'all, how's it going out there? I'm loving these fun facts. They're killing me. The puggle. We love to see it. Got a lot of ActBlues. Obsessed. My mom's most prized, Kayla said my mom's most prized possession is a voicemail from Joe Biden from my phone. Working on a campaign. I mean, got some perks. Yeah, the blind diabetic puggle, who's the light of Jameson's life. It's very sweet. Let's see. We have some folks from Kansas. Great British Baking Show, incredible. Rachel raised $4.2 million for Ossoff in 3 months. Oh. Heather played semi-pro women's tackle football pre-COVID. I mean, it's incredible. All right, y'all. Let's give it like 2 more minutes. Oh, we need to share the horizontal slide again. Yes, I can definitely do that, Anna. I will do it right now. And I'm assuming you mean this one, not this one. So I will leave it on this one. We're all in this together. All right, y'all. Let's do 2 more minutes and then let's share. All right, how we're feeling. Give me another. I keep wanting to say thumbs up, and there's just like no way unless you type thumbs up, which is silly. Let's put a show. Can you re-show the if you do this slide? Yes. Okay. I'm the theory of change slide. Is that what you're looking for, Sarah? Do X so that Y to achieve Z. All right. Looks like we probably need 1 more minute. Let's do 1 more minute. Okay, amazing. All right, y'all. And if you have your ask ready to rage, let's start putting them in the chat. Even if you only have a start of an ask, the end of an ask, a dollar amount, just the theory of change, put it in the ask or put your ask in the chat. All right, let's start getting those in there. folks might need a little bit more time. All right. Anna has a good fun fact. All right, y'all, let's start putting those asks in the chat. I'm going to go back to where we're at. All right, what brave soul will share with us today? I need at least one. If I get one, I'll get off this slide. I promise. Just one ask. I will sing High School Musical. Oh, nice. Shane. Yes. All right, Shane, we're working on hiring local field organizers to do everything from knocking doors to putting on events. But unless we raise $5,000 by midnight tonight, we won't be able to do so. Will you contribute $25 a month so that we can hire 5 organizers so we can connect with 10,000 voters in the district? Shane, that was awesome. That is awesome. Theory of change, specific amount. I'm loving the high dollar ask. We are doing it. Anna, our school board candidates are on the front lines of protecting our children. Donate $20.22 to reelect Caprice, a school board member who will continue to fight for mask mandates and put our children first. I am loving the $20.22. We are in 2022 is coming. Amazing. Thank you both so much for sharing. Those are awesome asks, and they are going to be yeses all across the board. All right, so let's collect that money, honey. We are ActBlue after all. Now that you have a kick-ass ask, you have all the tools to get started. You have ways to connect with your community online and build that list. Let's get started. So if you don't already have an ActBlue account, the best way to get one is to go to secure.actblue.com. You click this little link, the Get Set Up here. You fill out a form, and then someone gets in touch with you. So that's the best way to sign up. If you are familiar with ActBlue, amazing. If not, so what we offer is a lot of different things, but kind of the biggest thing that we have, there's a lot of big things, but one important thing that we have is a contribution form. This is where folks put in their information. They get the money over to you, and you can customize these. They can look exactly like the branding you have through your Twitter, Instagram, website, whatever it might be, completely customizable. Also, it is all mobily optimized. We saw over 50% of the money that came in the 2020 cycle came from folks' phones. So having all of your stuff be mobily optimized, crucial. Like look at your website before you publish it on someone else's phone. Make sure it works. Contribution forms on ActBlue already mobily optimized. This is a social share optimization, so you can get that tweet up there. You can get that Facebook post up there. And we also now offer Spanish contribution forms. All right, y'all. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. A wrap up really quick. Small dollar donors, they build people-powered movements. These are folks that get involved in so many more ways than one, but they also get involved with a lot of money. Digital fundraising tools make it safe, simple, and accessible for folks to get involved, and you can continue to build your list online. Fundraising emails, best way to fundraise online. And then ActBlue is here to help. One exciting thing at ActBlue is that we've grown our staff immensely. So if you are someone who is running for office across the country, we have folks in every region that are there to help you with your digital strategy and there to help you with your actual account maintenance or optimization, whatever you need. So make sure that you visit us and our blog. Here, let me get to it. Visit our blog. It's www.blog.actblue.com. And if you want to sign up for ActBlue, to go to actblue.com. And then a couple of our questions, like if you have questions about anything, we'll answer them now because we have a little bit of time, but also support at actblue.com or training at actblue.com comes directly to me. So awesome. Thank you all so much for your time here today. And I'm going to open it up, the chat, for questions. I'm also going to comb through here and see if we have any unanswered ones in here. We also got some awesome asks. I might read those real quick out loud. Well, Eric wrote, An awesome one. Hi, Tim. I'm going to be honest with you. Tim, this one's for you. I need you to give me some of your money. The reason I need some of your money is that I'm running a political campaign that's very expensive. I need to pay money for a lot of things, including advertising, transportation, salaries of my staff, lunch, etc. I don't have enough money to do that personally. So I was hoping to use some of yours. Also, Republicans are trying to destroy the country, and I'm a Democrat. If you don't want to live in a destroyed country, it's probably best you give me some of your money so I can get elected. I'd love it if you could give me $20 every week, but it's cool if you just want to give me $20 one time. Really, I'll take whatever I can get. But thanks in advance for the money. We're all in this together. Your bud, Eric. I mean, Eric, I think it's time to run. I think it's time to leave Netroots and start a campaign immediately. It's incredible. All right, y'all. Any questions before we head out for the day? I'm here for another couple minutes. Truly, truly iconic. I mean, that's what all the emails really say anyways. Tim, you got Tim. Tim's on it. $25 a month, $20 a month. Excellent. All right, y'all. Any questions? Yeah. Allie said I get 100 of the kind of asks you wrote a day. How do I make mine stand out? Honestly, I think it's a lot about testing. Everyone has different demographics that their asks go to and that they serve and that they are fundraising from. I would test. I mean, I would do A/B testing, send one ask to half, one ask to the other half, see what comes back. A cool thing about ActBlue is the ref codes you can add to the donation link. So you can test where the money's coming from, if it's coming from this email with this ask or this email with that ask. So I would do a lot of testing. I don't think there's a silver bullet there. There are some I guess there's some fun, interesting things you can do, like be topical, say something funny. Be careful with that though. I would say testing and A/B testing with ref codes is probably your best bet. Okay, amazing. All right, y'all. Consider sort of saturation more, which people are simply exhausted. I mean, Thomas, it's a good question. Do you mean exhausted in general? Do you mean exhausted with giving? And I'm going to assume you mean exhausted with giving, because I think we're all just exhausted. But with giving, honestly, no. We haven't seen... obviously, there are times when there are more people getting involved. So during the 2020 election cycle, sure, maybe there were more donations coming in the door, leading up to the presidential. But we don't see an end to this. At the beginning of ActBlue, I think it was maybe 5 years, $1 billion came through the door. 2020 election cycle, $5 billion came through the door. Now I think we're at $9 billion. We don't see this slowing down. More and more people are getting involved and getting excited to give at the level they can. And the exciting thing about small dollar donors and ActBlue and giving in this grassroots way is you can give $1, $2, $3, $4, $5. So that usually doesn't tap out as fast as those big dollar donors do. Yeah, giving. Okay, good. Well, yeah, I think we're all tired. So, all right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for your time here, for hanging out with me for today, and for all of your fun answers. Remember to follow ActBlue on Twitter. We're just at ActBlue. It might be ActBlue this month, but I think it's ActBlue. And I appreciate you all. Happy fundraising. I'm so excited to see folks like you on that screen making these choices for our communities. That's what I do this work for. So thank you all so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your Netroots. All right. Bye, y'all.